Understanding reduces the greatest to simplicity, and lack of it causes the least to take on magnitude. Raymond Holliwell. My friends, here we focus on price movement. We focus on it each and every day and how to track it, how to chart it. All we are looking for is the direction of the movement, and using the telltale signs, particularly weekly vertical crossovers, to help us see when there has been a sea change in investor sentiment, up or down, with those weekly vertical crossovers on the price percent oscillator. And of course, it looks like this week is going to be shaping up with a weekly vertical crossover going down in gold after the third week of price drops. And we will continue to track that. And again, if you're not signed up for our tracking service where you get a text message based upon those weekly vertical crossovers on any of our big charts, that is the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100, 20-year bonds, gold, and Bitcoin, well, my friends, you need to sign up. It's free. You can see the link in the show notes. In order to do that, all you do is text to the number 33222 on your cell phone. You dial that in and you text to that number the word charting wealth. We are, of course, chartingwealth.com. Now, let's jump into these charts. Stocks are mixed. The S&P is up. The Nasdaq 100 down. 20-year bonds and gold are up. And Bitcoin rolling over again, giving back about everything it got yesterday. Let's jump first into the S&P 500. We have an up week, but look at the weekly vertical crossover. Divergence has been going on since almost that weekly vertical crossover occurred, as the charts have tracked up for 3 weeks sideways and then popping up this week. Not enough energy to reverse the derivative oscillator or the price percent oscillator, showing some inherent weakness in that price movement. 2-day chart getting closer to crossing over, but still not happening. Price percent oscillator right there below the red signal line. Derivative oscillator has been positive on and off for many days now. As we look at the previous high back on Tuesday, it was 428.76, 428.78, so up all of 23 cents, 22 cents. So again, not a great deal. We'll just keep watching, waiting, seeing. How about the half day? We can see where it's popped up and sort of tracking sideways. So again, how much longer is this market going to go up? I don't know, my friends. All bets are off when the Treasury just is willing to, with the Fed's approval, change the decimal points on the big computer screen and just keep pumping that money out. I can't tell you. Let's look at the Nasdaq 100. Looks like we might have a weekly vertical crossover at the end of this week going up on the Nasdaq. Finally, it had done something similar to the S&P 500, but it looks like it's probably going to cross over going up. Derivative oscillator gaining upward momentum. Look at the 2-day chart. We can see it has reached a higher high, just barely. 355.23, previous 355.02. So again, it too just inching up a little higher. Price percent oscillator moving up, derivative oscillator moving up. Half-day chart, that's where we can see, again, down a little bit for the day, 0.16%. Now, again, the higher high that it reached, again, that's not where it settled out. Where it settled out was down a wee bit, 0.16%. We see a slowdown in the morning, slowdown in the afternoon. That's what those red open box candles mean. Price percent oscillator still positive, but heading down. Derivative oscillator positive, losing momentum. That's just that half-day chart. May have a weekly vertical crossover again by the end of the week, unless Thursday and Friday are big down days. What about 20-year bonds? Let's take a look at them, up 0.45%. And again, since we had that weekly vertical crossover all the way back on the 30th of April, with those 3 weeks of sideways sliding down following that, and then the slow build up to a maximum back on the week ending the 18th of June, and then sort of sideways sliding, trying to hint up, moving up. that weekly trend line, price percent oscillator heading up, derivative oscillator heading up. Still haven't hit that high though from almost 2 weeks ago. Look at the 2-day. We can again see where things, that last 2-day candle, little green up candle, this one looking nice, moving up that 2-day trend line also. Derivative oscillator losing some momentum, but that price percent oscillator still trying to edge up. And of course, what have we had happen at the end of the day? We have had that 2-day, or that half-day rather, crossover going up. That's good to see. I was trying to see if we could connect 3 candles there. Doesn't look like we can. Derivative oscillator positive, price percent oscillator just barely crossing over at the end of the day on bonds. That's where we are. Let's take a look at gold. Up 0.49% after a hefty week, pushing down, hitting the most recent lower lows, of course, after gold peaked a few weeks ago. Looks like I said at the beginning of the program, we might have a weekly vertical crossover going down on Friday, so be ready for a potential put practice trade for those of you who are interested in learning how to track and practice trade gold. Price percent oscillator, like I said, trying to cross over. Derivative oscillator gone negative. Unless there's a couple of big up days in gold, probably going to have that happen. What's up with the 2-day? We see the 2-day still heading down. Derivative oscillator losing a little bit of that downward momentum. Again, so far hadn't hit the lower low, most recent low that we saw back on that 2-day candle. The last 2-day candle that represented Monday the 28th and Tuesday the 29th of June. We'll watch price percent oscillator heading down, derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. Half-day chart, still price percent oscillators positive, derivative oscillators just barely positive. The end of the day with a green up candle, like we said, up a little bit for the day, 0.49%. So we'll continue to watch and see where these things go. I guess we maybe finally have a chance to try to draw. Well, that's not much. Not much, but we'll do what we can as far as tracking some up movement. Remember, bottom up, top down. That's the way that we draw our trend lines. Trend lines are most helpful. That's where we are on gold. Let's leave gold and go to Bitcoin. Down for the day, up yesterday, it was up 5 point something percent. Well, it's down today 4.68%. And again, we just have that overhang and all that negative energy. Price percent oscillator heading down. Derivative oscillator negative, still quite negative, losing a little bit of downward momentum. That solid green candle for the week means a slowdown in the down movement after 4 weeks of hammering down. Sideways slide a couple of weeks ago. Last week hitting a lower low, tapping all the way down to what was that, the 50-period moving average line on the weekly chart. And again, we'll just continue to watch, wait and see what happens with Bitcoin as things move along. Look at the 2-day chart. Looked like it was getting closer and closer to crossing over, and maybe that'll happen by the time this candle finishes drawing. Little green open box candle on the 2-day. A crossover on the 2-day doesn't mean anything except maybe a crossover at some points coming in the future on the weekly. But again, Bitcoin's going to need a whole lot more energy to push that weekly over and to make us feel comfortable on a successful up practice trade on Bitcoin. Let's look at the half day. We can see where things were up for a day and a half and then rolling over on Wednesday, particularly we can really see that red candle highlighting there at the end of the day. Price percent oscillators flattened out, derivative oscillator losing upward momentum. So that's where we are as we move into Thursday. So again, keep tracking, keep practicing. If you don't have our book, we have an autographed copy for you. Just follow the link in the show notes. If you're not a subscriber, that means you're not getting the daily trainings that we put out. Great daily training today, how to master the charts. We put out a training every day for our subscribers, and the good news is you can subscribe for free. Doesn't cost you a dime. Thank you again for all the new Patreon members. Remember, we will be putting out the 20 weekly vertical crossovers on the S&P. We look for 10 up and 10 down, and we provide those to our Patreon members each and every week. And of course, next week, the first Wednesday in July, will be our live question and answer call-in session for our Patreon supporters. Please go ahead and get your questions in. If you have any stocks or ETFs you want us to help you practice, help you backtrack so that you can practice trade them, let us know. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.